Whole You podcast listeners, it's Dr. Janine Krause from the Health Fix podcast. It's a podcast where I talk about tips, tricks, and techniques to have sharp minds, limitless energy, and fit physiques for life. Check out episode 157 of the Happy Whole You podcast, where I talk about personalized wellness for slowing down the aging process. You're listening to the Happy Whole You podcast. Let's introduce you to Dr. Anna Marie Frank.
All right. Thanks for joining us on the Happy Whole You podcast.
I'm Heather Laganelli here, and today we're really excited to introduce a guest. And we were talking earlier offline about how she likes to go by, and we decided that we're introducing her as Becky today. And
but in her profession, everybody, she is Rebecca. So if you get to know her and you have the luxury and to get to really know her well, you may be blessed to call her Becky. Yes. And this is my first time meeting you, so I'm on the fence of, do I call you Rebecca or do I call you Becky? And I feel like I can call you Becky.
Becky
like we're
is
friends.
A-okay. I am 100% good with Becky.
Yes.
So, and thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
I was really excited to chat with you a couple of months ago when we were at a journaling session for the Playful Space with Emily. Uh-huh. And what really piqued my interest with you was that you were so knowledgeable about what was happening in your body and how certain foods were interacting with your mood, with your day, with your productivity, with your energy level, with your relationship with your husband, with how you showed up in life. And I hadn't come across that in Bakersfield from an esthetician's perspective. And is that what you would go by, technically, as an esthetician? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like
That's my title. I'm a licensed esthetician.
I have to tell you about this lady. She was like so excited
tell me
about the conversation you guys had, because she was like in awe, like, wow, this is so fascinating. So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, it's really been quite a journey. I would say that, gosh, throughout my life, I've really had these weird things that have kind of come up and occurred throughout my whole life. I suffered from vertigo on and off.
For those of you that don't know what vertigo is, you literally feel like the room is spinning and you're not having a hangover. It's just happening whenever.
In fact, when I had first opened my skincare business in 2007, I was just a couple doors down the way that I owned a spa down there. And so I was operating my spa, and as I was working on my clients, I was literally banging into the mag lights and kind of, just a little off balance. And so I had a period of that. I've experienced different allergies. I thought that I had a shellfish allergy. I thought that I had these different things. I've also experienced bronchial problems, breathing, different weight gains, fluctuations that kind of went up and down throughout my life. And it kind of culminated probably about a year ago. And about a year ago, I got fairly sick, and my weight was kind of escalating up. And there really wasn't any rhyme or reason for that. I wasn't sleeping. My eating was probably out of balance, pretty out of balance. And just everything was kind of not where it needed to be. I had brain fog. I couldn't focus. And so kind of I had to start investigating and kind of researching, because even when I went to the doctor, they would run my basic panels and they would say, "Oh, everything's okay."
You're okay.
It's a theme. It's a theme of like almost everybody that we come in contact with, the common stereotypical like doctor versus reality mindset,
It was just so overwhelming to be going through that and knowing that I didn't even have the energy to get through my day. Mm-hmm. I mean, doing skincare, there were days where I would kind of have to take a break and even lay on my bed between clients just to make it through my day. And I thought, there's got to be more, and it's got to be different. So I was able to get to a functional doctor. And with the help of her, we did a lot of research, a lot of work. And the main thing that we came across for me was I had elevated cortisol levels. I had some estrogen dominance going on. My hormones were a little out of balance, which was creating some of those histamine issues. And then I had some mast cell issues, which can, what happens with those is that they kind of put your immune system into overdrive. And if you're stressed, if you're overtired, if you're not eating correctly, all of those things impact that. And so those mast cells would go a little haywire and cause me to be sick, tired, stressed, which in turn would make me sicker. And then that kind of opened me up to autoimmunes throughout my life. And so once I was aware of it and knew I had that in my body and the inflammation in my body, then I just knew, honestly, I was relieved that there was options for me and that I had choices to make that would make me feel better and that could help with these things. So that's when I really started diving into my diet. I started intermittent fasting. Huge, helped with my sleep and all of that, really made sleep a priority.
And really quick, intermittent fasting, plug.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I think intermittent fasting is such a great thing. I enjoy doing that. And just starting off with like 12 hours to 14 hours can be really helpful for people, but it gives your body that option to reset, right? Because most people are literally, like, I'll use almonds as an example. They're putting almonds in their body and they don't realize that they're sensitive to almonds because they're quote unquote healthy, right? So I look at food as it's not healthy and I mean, we know what's healthy and unhealthy, but is your body reactive or non-reactive? And you're like, looking, were you sensitive to almonds or something along those lines?
So a funny story. So as I'm going along this journey, I eliminated pretty much everything. I mean, my diet, and then I slowly started introducing foods back in because I also, in addition to this, had very high inflammation. That was the key indicator for me, was this high inflammation. So a low inflammation diet is different than a low histamine diet. So it was a pretty intense journey getting through that to find what I could do that would benefit both. So the almonds, I started working, I work with a mentor for estheticians, and her partner, who I had met in June, late June, right when I began this journey. I went to the functional doctor at the end of May. So in late June, I met him, and for some reason, I felt that there was something that he could do to help me and that he had the knowledge and the ability to do it. I've since found out he's a worldwide health coach. He has written 2 books that are very beneficial, and he has his own gym, his own supplement line, and he's very, very knowledgeable. So he was so helpful and kind that I had messaged him and I said, I'm experiencing these issues. I kind of feel like I'm on the right track, but I need some additional help. And he said, 100%. I experienced high inflammation since I was 15 years old. I'm going to get you on a call with my assistant, and we're going to go over what you're doing. The first thing that she told me is she looked at my protein drinks and she said, oh no, they're filled with way too many things. Are you comfortable if we put you on our protein? I said, 100%. If it's going to help me, I'm on board. And then the next thing she said is, you need to eliminate your almond milk. And I had eliminated all dairy, and I assumed that the almond milk was my best choice. So I'm using almonds as snacks. I'm drinking almond milk. I'm doing all of this. So instantly, I started on their protein. I eliminated almonds out of my diet, almond milk, almond everything. I transferred over to coconut. And so coconut milk I do wonderfully with, no issues, no concerns. And within, I was down 14 pounds, I think, in 10 days.
Yeah, that's what's crazy about it is when I start working with people and we test for their food sensitivities, just them taking that out, that alone.
It was shocking.
Within a week, usually they lose about 4 pounds.
Oh, I lost 5 pounds instantaneously.
It's crazy.
And then, like I said, I was down 14 pounds within
Yeah.
10, 14 days,
Yeah.
and no other dietary changes. And also, because of my high cortisol levels, I was very limited on my physical activity. So I was only doing very basic yoga and walking, no other physical activity until I could kind of get everything
Yeah.
back in balance.
But your body was just in distress, the word that I just combined the two.
Yes.
Yeah, your body was like,
Yes.
like literally just like, oh my God, I can't even function right now. And so that's why you had to take naps. That's why you were like poisoning
Yes.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Yeah.
and I honestly I didn't have any idea, and I just knew that this is not normal. This is not right. And I've got 2 grandkids. I've got 4 kids and their spouses, and I lead a very, very active life. And so for me not to be able to do those things was just, it was creating additional stress.
Yeah.
So,
Well, because then your mind starts to, I feel like when
yes.
your mind starts to take into effect of like, what am I doing? Like, is this
And
going to be like
I-
this forever? Like,
100% have always been a positive person and always looking towards the future and looking at, okay, how can I better myself? How can I do these things better? And so I was okay, you know, and jumping on board with the diet, with the lifestyle, with whatever it was that I needed to do. And like I was telling you, it's funny that I've been an esthetician for 18 years, and I've always been use clinical products, they're clean and no preservatives, no phthalates, no parabens.
Yeah.
When I owned my spa, I actually made all my own candles. I used soy candles. I used specific wicks because I thought I'm trying to help and better people within their lifestyle and their skin and their overall health. I don't want to be giving them anything that will contribute to that.
I know, it's like when you go to the hospital. I remember when my dad was getting chemo and he was in the hospital, and they brought in the food that he was about to eat, and I was like, seriously? Like where?
It's shocking.
It's totally shocking, and like, yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Like, and I love that you say that because, you know, you go in your facility and you go to get treatment by you, and everything you're doing is in consideration of the whole body, because you technically, what you do is work on the largest organ system in the human body
The
that
skin,
absorbs
yes.
everything.
That was
skin.
my number one in the 5 tips for
okay,
women.
yeah, so that's why I was just looking at my phone at my list. I was like, okay, I had some questions that I wanted to get into because I feel like I'm glad that you shared about your like discovery, your self-discovery, and like ways that you could find to help yourself and aid yourself in living your best life, because I think a common theme in this podcast has been how people have taken matters into their own hands and decided like enough is enough. We're not going to sit here and just listen to other people tell us what's best for us when it's not matching up. And this is something, it's a trend. It keeps happening over and over in these conversations that we're having. And I think it's fascinating because we have the power and the tools now in this day and age to be able to do that and to make a difference.
And if you don't, ask questions.
Yeah, and
right?
we have...
that's the biggest thing, is like asking questions and not making decisions on your health based out of fear. Because that's the other thing that's happening is women are realizing, men also, that something's not going right inside their body. Then they go to a practitioner and spend about 10 minutes with them or whatever it is, and they say, well, this is wrong with you. As if that is exactly what's wrong with them. And I think that, no. Like, you can't blame it on one thing, right? Like, when it comes to health, you can't blame it on one thing. And then what happens is that one thing, you have this option, and they're making that decision out of fear. Like, oh, yeah, so since you told me I have this one thing, and I need to take this or that, like, that's my option. And they're not asking, well, why? Why is this one thing happening?
Oh gosh, when I was going to the doctor just prior to when everything kind of just culminated and had gotten so bad, I literally was going every 3 months, and they were giving me a antibiotic shot.
Oh.
They were giving me a Kenalog
Every
shot.
3 months.
My
I know.
heart.
That's like
They
4
were
antibiotics
giving
a year.
me a Z-Pack.
Oh.
They were giving me steroids every 3 months because the inflammation in my body was so severe that at 3 months and 1 day, my nose would start running. I would have flu-like symptoms, and I couldn't function.
What other options did they give you?
They didn't.
Oh.
They didn't. I would just go in, and they were like, and in fact, they would kind of laugh when I would go into the office, and they'd go, "Oh gosh, you made it 3 months and 2 days."
So they never asked you about what foods you were eating. They never.
No, not
They never
once.
asked you about the stress level that you were under.
No,
They
not
never asked you if
once.
there was fragrance in your laundry or being sprayed in the air around
Not
you.
once.
Were you being exposed to mold?
Not once. And at that time, I was probably working, I was in an extremely stressful position. I was not doing skincare full time at that time. I was doing skincare at home on select clients. And it was during pandemic, and after pandemic, I had returned to an office environment. So I was actually managing an office. So during that time, I had to know every industry's protocols for the pandemic. And I had to ensure that my employees were following that. And so I was administering HR, I was doing payroll, I was doing
Stress.
all the office functions.
High stress.
Stress.
Like, top of the
Extreme
line.
stress. And in addition to navigating all the craziness that was going on within the world. And so I was fortunate that once we kind of got through that, that about 1.5 years ago, I was able to, I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I doing this? Skincare is my passion and my business. And this just is not the direction that I need to be going.
Thank you, COVID, for that.
Right?
To remind people.
Literally.
Of, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at that time I thought, I'm going to go be a grandma and I'm going to work 8 to 5 and, I won't be there in the evenings and, I can do these things. And it still just didn't quite work that way.
And what?
But no, they never asked me one thing.
No.
That's insane to me.
What is it, like, how did you actually get into skin? Like, what are 3 reasons that you're passionate about skin?
So let me get out my glasses here.
She has notes.
Grandma
She's
Becky.
Homework. She did homework. Yeah.
Grandma Becky here. And honestly, that's how I run my business as well, is I'm very detail oriented behind the scenes. So I like to know those things. I like to keep notes on my clients. I like to, go back in and kind of review and check those things out. So how I got into skincare, I was actually working down farther on the end of the street, and I was a CPA office manager.
Oh, wow.
And so again, a high stress position. Tax season, I had a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old at that time. And baseball season and tax season, they were hard to navigate at the same time. And so I went to my ex-husband and I went to my boss at the time and I said, I love what I'm doing. It's a nice challenge. I always like a challenging work environment. But these tax deadlines, I can't do this for the rest of my life because, with my kids, that's important to me. And so I don't mind working. I don't mind working 60, 70 hours a week. I kind of fall into that tendency. But so I have to watch myself.
That's why you're attracted to us, because we're like,
we have there's this younger generation that they're like, oh, well, I can't work more than 20 hours a week.
Oh
and
my
I'm just
gosh.
like, I don't even know.
I
what that's
don't
like.
understand that at all.
Yeah, me
and
neither.
I wonder if it's something
Same.
that like people are born with too.
Yeah, totally.
Like, is that like you
and
just?
it might be a part of our personality where
Yeah.
because we are into education and learning more
Yeah.
and wanting to do better,
Right.
I think
High
that's the big
achievers.
thing
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
I have always wanted to do better, so I know that there's always more out there. So I'm continuously working
or
towards
environment, like maybe even like your upbringing, I feel like
Yeah.
has something.
Yeah.
To,
Well,
yeah.
and I
Yeah.
guess if you're passionate about what you're up to, too.
Yes.
That's the thing. It's like,
And 100%. There's so much out there that So I would say that I got into it because I love creating a safe, caring, and educational environment for women, so that they can learn how to care for their skin in the way that works best for them and their lifestyle, their goals, and their budget. I've been in all spectrums of life. I've been a single mom and an entrepreneur and a single mom. I've been a wife and a working mom with 2 kids and in charge of 25 people, through my business or through what I was doing. And through every avenue and through every aspect, what I found is that sometimes women are hard on each other, in general. And I think the outside world, there's so much noise, and through social media and society that we're expected to be so perfect or flawless or to know everything. And so I wanted to give them an avenue or a safe space where we can discuss those things to make them confident with their choices and with what they're doing, so that it does meet all those guidelines, you know, and so that they're not embarrassed. And they're not going to the store and spending, $150 on products that aren't going to work for them or that contain those bad ingredients.
Yeah, like my castor oil I get for like $20. It's like this big that I slather on my face.
I slather it,
exactly. And there are things that you can do like that, and I will never guilt or shame somebody for their choices. I just want to kind of give them the options to make those better choices or things that will work for them.
Yeah, and I think just most people do the best they can with the knowledge they have. And so they're not realizing that, when they're slathering product on their face that is, has parabens in them, that has a lot of fragrance in it.
They're absorbing all of that, too.
It's causing their endocrine system, their hormones to go out of whack. And like, they don't even realize that these things are happening. And so that's why I love that we can have these conversations, because it's like, just check your ingredients or,
But even if they were to check it,
just simple changes.
But most people don't. I know for me, the first time I learned about any of that, I was in North Carolina visiting my cousin, and she's like the epitome of a hippie. Like, she is like through and through hippie, and I love her, like, with all of my heart and soul. And every time I'm around her, I'm like learning something new. And I show up with I spent a week with her, I think. I show up with my travel bags, and I unpack my stuff, and I'm like getting ready for bed or whatever in the morning. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just, gonna wash my face. I'm gonna put this on my body, my deodorant." She's like, looking at me like I'm like the devil. And I'm like, "Girl, like, what is wrong? Like, just say it." And she's like, "Oh, like, I haven't used that kind of deodorant in like 10 years. And I was like, "Okay." And she's like, "Do you know what that does to you?" And I was like, "Nope. I just know that I don't sweat through my clothes. Like, this is great." And she's like, "Heather, you're literally like poisoning yourself." And I was like, "No.
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm poisoning myself?" And then so she kind of broke it down. And then the same thing, I was using like Jergens, like hand lotion. And she was like, "Do you know what's in that?" And I was like, "Nope, I do not. Like, I just know that I don't wake up in the middle of the night with dry hands or feet when I put it on my body, and I feel good." And through time and just educating, I had to be ready, number one, to hear and retain that information. And number two, like, if you would have said, "Look at the ingredients," I would have been like, "What am I looking for?" I had no idea. And I think oftentimes we come across people like the two of you that have done the work, that have done the research, that like have figured out all the ins and outs of what each and everything means and what it does. Intermittent fasting. A lot of people don't know what intermittent fasting is. A lot of people don't know what endocrine disruption is. Like, this is foreign to a lot of people, and I feel like it's interesting because it's just almost second nature for a lot of society. There's advertisements that are out there. You use Dove for this, you use whatever for that, Head and Shoulders, blah, blah, blah.
Well, because we're a society for a quick fix.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to work for anything anymore. You want it immediately because of your social media, because of all the things that are out there, because we're inundated with so much.
Consumer mindset.
Yes. Yeah. And so I see it daily, even in my business or in my practice, and I think, well, gosh, it's taken you all these years to experience these skin conditions, or when you're 45 and you wake up and you have dark spots on your skin and it's a little drier and you have these things. 90% of those issues have been with you your whole life. They're just now showing up because you're experiencing changes in your system, through your hormonal changes, through these different things that are occurring as we age, your loss of energy, your loss of, collagen, elastin, those things, and then they start appearing on the skin. So you know, really expecting those things to be gone within one treatment or 1 month's use of a product, it really, you know, it can't work that way. So there's a little bit of education that has to go along with that.
Yeah.
And it comes from within, right? And I think that that's what the most interesting part is, that a lot of people don't affiliate what's happening inside of, like what we're putting into our body as something that affects like the appearance of our skin.
Oh, 100%. Like you started out with, that the skin is the biggest organ in the body. So everything that's going on the inside comes out on the outside. In Eastern philosophies versus Western skin philosophies, Eastern, there's face mapping for the face, which is fascinating. And when you do the face mapping, you know, like I had a client in last week, and it was amazing that I didn't know, even through our discovery, through her information and what we'd gone over, she kept kind of having a red spot on one cheek. And so finally I just asked her, I said, are you having an issue in your kidney area, in your, you know, in your intestinal area, or is there something going on in your right side, even your ovaries, is there something? And she just stopped and looked at me, and she said, well, my family doesn't even know, but my doctor just let me know I do have a kidney issue on the right side that we're looking at. And I said, because no matter what I was doing, your skin responded beautifully, but you do have this big patch on your, you know.
And the kidneys go here, and kidneys and sex hormones here, and then sex hormones here. And she probably has some fear going on in her life too.
Oh yeah, and
Fascinating though.
Yeah.
And I don't incorporate that all the time, but a lot of times, like if we're just going through and I go through my regular list and we can't quite find the answer, I will go in there and kind of tie that together, and then, you know, we can kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together. And so in doing that,
Thanks. So sorry to interrupt.
that's okay.
So 3 tips or 3 reasons that you were passionate about skin. One was that you really cared about people
for the
and making a
safe
difference.
educational environment. I would say my own life story, because now it's even that much more important to me, and it's integrated that much more into my skincare, knowing that my journey throughout my life has been, it's not been a good, smooth, easy journey.
Nobody gets that, by the way. Nobody gets
There's an easy button, life easy button.
And all of those things, you know, like me changing jobs. A lot of times I would change my position only because my health probably wasn't working in the way that I needed to, and I felt that by making this change, it was going to make it better.
Yeah.
Now I know that it wasn't really my jobs or my career that was creating this. It was my health habits, and so now I just know that I need to reset and refocus on those.
She's like, can I get an amen?
Hallelujah! There's people in the back. I mean,
Can I get an amen?
that is seriously like everything. We give our control and we act like our health and everything that's going on within us is because of everything outside of us. And it's not. It starts with your mind. It starts with what you're putting in your body. It starts with how you're thinking about your life, how you're speaking about your life, and like that is everything.
And I'm heading past 55 now, heading upwards to 60, and I'm just now figuring that out.
Good for you.
But which was very shocking to
back.
me. and so many of the decisions that I made probably weren't for my health benefit and really didn't benefit me in that way. But I love that now I can incorporate that into my skincare business, and that I can help others maybe even at a younger age or in a different area. And so in doing that, my tagline from day one has been relaxation with results. And the reason being is because all of that impacts your skin health. You know, I always laugh and I say, if you're my client, you're skidding in sideways. Because you're so busy in every other area of your life.
When I showed up for my appointment, she was like, you're my client. I was like, I know. She's like, you're in a hurry, you got places to be. Like she deals with people that are just busy in their lives, and they want to prioritize their skin, and maybe they don't always have the time to research it for themselves. And And one of the most favorite things, yes.
And that's so that's where my own life has kind of come into that. Way too many things and trying to fit one more thing into my day. Yeah. And so I find my peace in my treatment room too with my clients. So it's just amazing.
So that was number 2. Okay, number 3. So
Okay.
So third thing.
Oh, okay. So the third thing, and I've kind of touched on that already as well. I love to learn new things about people, about products, about techniques, about any of those things. I'm just fascinated by all of it. And I would say that I'm very progressive in my skincare treatments and what I do and how I approach it for my clients and for myself. But I'm not overly aggressive because I never want to harm you. I never want to do an overly aggressive treatment that's going to create something bad for you. So, so much of my time outside of the treatment room is spent on research. I'm researching every trend. I probably got hit with 5 trends last week in the room. How do you feel about, slugging? What do you think about
What is slugging?
Yeah, what is slugging?
Tell us more.
So what slugging is where you do your actives on your skin, but slugging is layering all of your moisturizers in a very heavy way and finishing it off with a very occlusive moisturizer that's going to hold everything in.
I just heard about this yesterday.
I
heard about this yesterday because I was talking to a woman that's in her mid-50s as well, and she was saying that, because I was on the news yesterday, and she was like, yeah, I layer on heavy moisturizer before I get ready in the morning, and I do it like an hour before I put my makeup on, and I just let it absorb in, she was saying, and then it settles into like smile lines, and so then they don't show up. And she said she's been doing it forever, and I was like,
It's a great way of doing it. And then kind of something that you can kind of incorporate into that too is when you do slugging, you can also do what we call skin cycling. So that's where you take your actives, which are your retinols or your AHAs or your different things like that are a little more active. Then you're going to skin cycle to where you do your actives on a certain night, you do your exfoliation on a certain night, and then you're going to slug for, say, 2 or 3 nights to put that moisture, to put everything back in there. Then you go back to your aggressive treatments, and they actually are a little more effective and work better that way.
because your skin is like needing it.
Yes,
it's like almost like you're like
and
neglecting
it
a little bit.
break because you have a 3 or a 4 day break where you can reset and heal your skin and kind of just nourish it with everything good and great and put all those oils and everything on there. And then after that, then you go back to your actives.
That's so cool. Before we have like just a few more minutes left, and I have all these questions for you. I feel like
Heather's always like, it is not long enough. This podcast is not long enough.
I have anxiety because I'm like, okay, I need like a code word or like a little like signal
I'm like
to
the
be
one
like,
that's
and
like, okay, let's
unfortunately-
go. We gotta have this, and this. And I'm like, by the time, and Heather's like,
And when you get me talking on this topic,
Oh,
I
can
could go
tell.
for
You
days.
love it,
so.
yeah, and I love that you love it. I love there's something about people that are just passionate about what they do that is
Yes.
infectious, and it feels so like refreshing to be around somebody that gets like that, where you lose track of time because there's so much fun information to share and
I
like
do, yes.
insight into like, I mean, this is your world, and that's why we wanted to have you on, because when I was talking to you, and something that had stood out to me was your husband had asked you if you were like on your regimen of what you knew was good for you, and you weren't at the time, and you're like, oh, honey, yeah, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, because he noticed.
He's become very aware, and if you knew my husband, we're very different. Our personalities and everything are very different, and but he's very behind the scenes. He's very aware, and he's very caring, and he's very on top of those things. And because we had to go through such a big journey through this, and he saw me not having energy, not performing the way that I wanted to. So he understands. So if he sees me kind of heading in that direction,
He's, oh, you're saying it because that's love and caring.
Yes.
Why are you crying right now?
just it's nice to have that support.
Yeah.
It
you
is
know, that
nice to
he's
know
very
what's going
aware
on.
and to understand, you know.
Yeah.
And the other night I was tired from work and I was going to stop on the way home, and he had eaten already because we kind of, you know, plan it out if I'm late at work or whatever. So I was a little late from work, and unfortunately the habit is right close by me, and I said, I think I could eat the burger. I won't eat the bread or anything, but I can go get a burger. And he said, now remember, honey, the last time you did that, you didn't feel very well. He goes, maybe you should think about a salad or something, the chicken salad instead. And I did. I was driving through, and it just put me back, you know, because I have a tendency to take care of everyone else.
Yeah.
And so learning to take care of me has been a little more difficult.
Yeah.
It's good to have those reminders too, like, and it's good that like you can take that in and be like, wow, he cares about me. Whereas some people might be like, if your
Don't tell me
spouse
what to
says,
do. Yeah.
you know, have a salad, not the burger. You'd be like, oh,
Screw you. Yes. So before.
No, he's getting in tune with what I need and kind of the way that I eat and stuff like that.
And he
so
cares.
He just knows.
Yeah.
You know? And so he was like, I don't know, you didn't feel very well the last time you ate that. Maybe you should think about the chicken salad. And I did. And I felt great.
Yeah, that's
so,
good.
Super
you know,
sweet.
It was huge.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to give you an opportunity to give your 5 tips, if you can do it in like rapid.
speed.
Yeah.
I'll do it really
Okay, yeah.
quickly.
Okay. So 5 tips for
the top 5 things. Your skin is your biggest organ, so be kind to it and take care of yourself. Get your rest, eat right, do those things, and your skin will love you. Skincare does not have to be complicated to work. Keep it simple. We don't need 10 products every day. Just keep it simple, and I can help you with that, you know, in finding good quality products. 2 or 3 good quality is hands down
If you
better
put
than 10
2
over the
things
counter.
that like you would say are just like 100% necessary, what would they be?
SPF.
Okay.
That's my next tip is that SPF is your number one anti-aging. I get asked all the time, what do I do for my aging? I'm starting to age. I said, well, you put your SPF on every day, and then no matter what we do in addition to that, you're going to benefit
And eat
because
your
you're protecting it.
Blueberries.
Yes, those antioxidants.
Because those will you'll be less sun sensitive if you're actually putting in, you know, the antioxidants in the body. It's a natural protective mechanism.
Me and you, we need to talk away from here. So yeah, less is more when it comes to your active ingredients.
Yes.
You know, the number one thing that I'm seeing in my practice right now is a disrupted skin barrier. Which
What does that mean?
Well, how is that caused? Oh, yeah.
Okay,
What does
so
that
what
mean?
it is it's a damaged barrier that's caused by using too many actives, over exfoliating, like with scrubs and stuff like that, and or overusing medical grade skincare.
Yeah.
Because people think more is better, and it's not.
Yeah.
And so what happens is your skin starts getting blotchy, red, tight, congested, shiny, can be hot to the touch. Even when you put on a gentle product, or even when you wash, even when you're using water to rinse, it can be sensitive and irritated. And that is the sign of a disrupted barrier. And probably, you know, I would say I had 4 new clients in the past couple of weeks. 3 out of the 4 had disrupted barriers.
Wow. What were you going to say, Anna Marie?
I was just going to say, like, your skin should not burn when
No.
you put anything on it.
No,
Right? Like,
no.
unless
Okay,
it's like
so
a peel.
our ultimate goal, what
Yeah.
my ultimate goal is for everybody is we just want healthy skin.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for perfection. I'm not looking for flawless skin. We want skin that has movement and life and vitality.
Yeah.
That energy will make you look younger.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It covers up so many of the things. So it's not about the wrinkles. We can work on those, and I have options for those too that are natural. Microcurrent, because it puts the energy back in there, and
What's
it
a
lifts
microcurrent?
and tones. Microcurrent is an electrical current that goes underneath your cells. So it works at the cellular level underneath your skin.
Energy.
And that's
And
the
it's adding
handheld thing
energy back into your skin.
with the little zapper thing that
Yes.
that I have.
So there's a tool that you can use, and then I have a professional grade that I use in my practice. It's they call it natural Botox because it will lift, it will tone, it will
You
define.
can literally do it on one half of your face, and your face will lift.
Yes.
And not do it on the other.
Yes.
We use that too.
And it works cumulatively. So one microcurrent service is amazing, but if you get a package or a series where you get in there, you can maintain it very easily, and it builds on itself. So I actually have a lot of clients who are kind of tapering off of Botox, and so we're using microcurrent to kind of give them those same results. On the other spectrum, I have clients who would never use Botox because that just isn't in their skincare philosophy. And so this is giving them those alternatives too. So
Fascinating.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I would say, I think that covered our 5. Yeah, the less is more, simple skincare routine, and just be kind to yourself. And like you were saying with the blueberries, everything that goes good for your system inside, when you think of your vitamins, when you think of antioxidants, all of those things, they're beneficial for your skin too.
Yeah.
And those are a lot of the ingredients that we use to get those results.
Awesome.
And what's one of the things, if you could leave our listeners with something that maybe isn't like a tip or something, but just something that you've, through the work that you've done, maybe something that you've seen commonly and you've been able to help with, or a tip or some kind of advice that you would give to our listeners to leave them with?
I would say to realize that your skin is all-encompassing. Like we said, it's the largest organ, and that everything that you're doing throughout your day is impacting your skin. So in coming to me and asking me for one cream or one serum that's going to be that magical answer, I can give you some really good products and I could give you a good serum, but it's going to take everything that you're doing if you want to see change. So just be consistent. Remember that a treatment is only 20% of your skincare results. Home care and what you're doing on a daily basis, every day, consistently, that's 80% of your results.
Yeah. Such good advice.
Thank you.
It's not what you do once in a while, it's what you're doing all the time.
Yes, and you don't have to be perfect. Just do what you can do and do it consistently.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Thank you, Becky. Thank you for joining us today on the Happy Whole You podcast.
Thank you guys. It's been great. Very enjoyable. Thank you.